Good morning, students. Myself, Dr.N.Shirisha, Associate Professor from CSE Department, MLR Institute of Technology. So far, we have seen HTML, CSS and XML. So, in XML, in the last session, I have told you what is DTD and what are their uses, how to write a DTD elements and a DTD attributes, okay, and also entities. So, in this session, I just wanted to give you a summary on how to use XML schemas. So, you know all that DTD is used for giving the structure for any XML program. Since in XML we are going to give user defined tags, so there is no particular structure. If you see in HTML, we have a structure where we are giving a head tag in which we are giving title tag, then body tag. In body we are giving according to our requirement, whatever the presentation we want to give, that we are going to give in HTML. But in XML, as it is user defined tags we are using, and also whatever the data that you wanted to give, that information, that we are going to define in the program. So, every program is user defined. So, then what happens, there is no particular structure. So, define a particular structure, we have seen one way is to use a DTD that we have already covered. So, in this session, I just wanted to give the gist on XML schemas. So, what is an XML schema? So, schema describes the structure. So, as I told you, one is a DTD and the other option is nothing but the schemas. So, schema language is referred to as XML schema definition, okay, XSD. We write it as a XSD. So, what is the purpose? So, they define the legal building blocks of XML document. Okay, legal building blocks, say we have again attributes, elements, entities, all this comes under your building blocks of any thing. So, DTD building blocks are also like entities, elements, attributes, PC data, C data. These are all the building blocks of DTD that we have discussed in the last session. So, here XML schemas and their legal building blocks we are going to discuss. So, what are the building blocks? Elements, attributes that appear, and the number of child elements, and data types for the elements and attributes. So, this data types is new. We don't have data types in DTD, but we have data types in XML schemas. So, why you have to define a data type in XML schema is we have different types of data that we give. Say for roll number we give integer, okay. Say for age we give integer value. Say subject, he will give some text value, okay. So, like that, decimal values, float, okay, characters, strings. So, where the name indicates string. So, like that you have to define the data type for XML schema. So, that is one difference between the DTD and XML schema. And default and fixed values for elements and attributes. If you remember, we have given hash fixed, okay, as attribute for your tags, okay, any element or any attribute. Similarly, we have also used required, okay. Hash required means that field is mandatorily has to be entered by the user. So, then we have seen implied is optional, whether you can enter or you can skip that field. So, that like that you have field, default and also the fixed values you can give it here, okay. Then XML schemas use XML syntax, obviously, since we are using a user defined tags here. But in XML schema, to give structure, we have a specific format because we are talking about the structure. We don't have to learn any new language, okay. We can use your XML editor to edit the schema files. Obviously, in how we are writing our XML program, in the same way, in the same editor, we will write our schema files also. You can use your XML parser to parse your schema files. So, you have to parse it, like PC data, it will parse the data in the DTD. But C data, it will directly display the characters that you are going to give. So, similarly, XML parser can be used. And you can manipulate your schema with XML DOM. DOM is nothing but document object model. Document object model. So, what is document object model? Is, suppose you have this heading XML schema. When I click on this cursor, so I just wanted to change this text to blue color. So what we have to do, we have to use DOM, we have to create an object and apply some functions to change the color of the text. So that is what? Manipulating, changing the context, changing the format, like that. You can use schema with XML DOM also. So XML schemas are extensible because they are written in XML, because XML is extensible markup language. Obviously XML schemas are also extensible. Extensible schema definition. Using this XML extensible schema definition, you can reuse the schema in other schemas, means reusing, using one schema in the other. Create your own data types. So here we can create our own data types from the standard data types. Standard data types you can use int, char, float, string. Okay, so like that you can give standard types, and from there you can also use your own data types and reference multiple schemas in the same document. Within the same document you can write multiple schemas. One schema can be used in the other schema. So these are all the advantages of your schema. Why XML schema? Secure data communication. Secure, we are talking about security, right? So when you have a sender and receiver, you are trying to send some information. It is essential that both parts have same expectations about the content. Means what is the data that user is expecting to send? What is the data that receiver is expecting to receive? Okay. So with XML schemas, the sender can describe the data, so that receiver will understand. Suppose there are two persons, client and also the other side. Two users are there. One user knows English, the other user only knows Telugu. Then the user one cannot send the information in English since the other person is not able to understand. So see that the other person should understand the whatever you are sending. Means that you have to use the translator, or you have to send the data in Telugu only. So in that way, XML schemas data can be described as the receiver will understand. Okay, say book. I have a book. You have to give author. What is the title? Suppose these are the fields you have. So among these fields, if you have to write XML schema, you have to define them in a user understandable way. So here if you have a date like 3/11/2004, okay, in some countries they will consider as 3rd November, in other countries as 11th March. Maybe this is the DD and this is Y. Sorry, this is MM. Maybe this is MM or this is DD. There is no particular structure. So there will be an ambiguity. So what we do, date type equals to date we give, and then you are sending in the date format. So year, and say if you are defining month, if you are defining date, like this you are sending. Ensures that mutual understanding of the content, because XML type date requires the format YY. Okay, what a YY MM DD or YY. Okay, is the format. So like this, you are defining the particular structure to make the others understandable. Okay, so by giving the structure, the other person can easily understand that this is a date and this is a month. Okay. Well formed is not enough. Well formed means what? You have wherever you are starting the tag, you have to close it at the end. Whatever the tags you are defining, every tag should have a closing tag and the indentation should be followed. If you are starting at the first, close it at the last. If you suppose if you have first tag, close it at the end. If you have second tag here, you can't close it here. This is wrong. Where you have to close it here. So like this format, that's called as well formed. Okay, so it must conforms XML rules, and it must begin with the XML declaration. What is XML declaration? Question mark. XML version 1.0, and also you can give UTF encoding. Okay, encoding. UTF-8 ? So like that also you can give. It must have one unique root element. Say root element you will have, close a root at the last, you will have child elements, close the child elements here. So like this you will write, okay. It must have one unique root element. This is the root element for all the child elements that you write. Start tags must have matching end tags. If you are writing book here, write it as book only. Don't write books. No, this is wrong. It is not well formed. So elements are case sensitive. So if you are writing small letters, use small letters only here. You can't use uppercase letters. All elements must be closed. So you have to closing tag should be there, and this is tags, angular brackets you have to use. All elements must be properly nested. Nesting of elements is also required. If you are talking about one book, you will write like this. Otherwise, what you will do, you will start again book here and give the tags and close the book here and close the root here. Okay, and all attribute values must be quoted. Attribute values must be quoted. You know, attribute value, suppose book is there. I just wanted to write a language here or author. So author equals to something like this. Okay, entities must be used for special characters. Entities you have to use. Okay, so this is not enough. Okay, for XML schema. So XSD, for XSD what is required? So you have node program here, this general node program that we know, and you know, this is a DTD file where we have written for the same node program. So elements using exclamatory element keyword and all the two, and you are parsing PC data you have given. Okay, so the same if you wanted to write in the XML schema, using XML schema, a note is there, XML-NS namespace you have written, and XSI XML schema indicator, this also you have given schema instance, and that location of that instance. Where is my XSD? Node.xsd, like how we used to give node.dtd. Like that we are defining what? Node.xsd for XML schema. So this is my general program. So what we used to add in the DTD doc type, the keyword public or system you have to use, and followed by the DTD file we have given. So here what we are using, node.xsd. XSD is a XML schema definition. Okay. So how to write a XML schema definition? So this is the external program. Node.xsd is my external program. So how to write that program? So you have to first write your schema starting with this XS : schema. What is this XS? XS is nothing but XML schema. Okay. So colon, you have to give schema. So this is opening tag, this is the ending tag. In between you will write your code. Schema element is a root element for every XML schema. Schema element means XS : schema. Here if you see, every tag will have the prefix XS. XS : if it is a schema, write schema. If it is complex type, write complex type. If it is sequence type, if it write sequence type. Like that. For everything you will write a XS schema. Okay. If you see for namespace also, we have written XSI schema location. XML-NS, this we are defining what is the prefix that you have to use. If the prefix is XSI, give prefix as XSI. This is for namespace. Okay. So every XML schema will have a root tag XS : schema. Then it contains some attributes. What are those attributes? So XS schema is given a namespace, so target namespace and namespace we have given. Element form default qualified namespace. For every XML schema use a qualified namespace. That means what? It is required. Qualified means it is required. Not qualified or unqualified means it is optional. Okay. So for this XML schema where you have defined XS as a prefix, so this schema definition is qualified, means you are making this as required. Okay. So this is about namespace in XML schema. So XML schema will start with XS colon schema, and all these namespaces will become attributes for your XML schema tag. This is the root tag for your XML schema. So the following fragment. So what is this all about? XML NS XS indicates that the elements and data type used in the schema come from the so and so path. Okay, this is the namespace, XML schema. This is the namespace that you have. From there, we are going to indicate the element and data types that we use in the XML schema. And it also specifies that these elements which is coming from this XML schema should be prefixed with what? XS colon. When you are giving XS colon, then only this will be what? Referred. Okay. So, target namespace we are giving some other. It indicates that node 2 from heading body come from this namespace. Okay. This is how we have defined the namespace. So, this is the explanation. XML NS so indicates the default namespace. So, default namespace we have taken from here. Element form default qualified. Qualified is nothing but it indicates the elements used by the XML instance document which is declared must be a namespace qualified. That means whatever you are defining, you are saying that XS is a prefix that you have to use for the schema. Okay, that is qualified. Okay, referencing a schema in the XML document. So, you have this node program where we have defined our namespace and we have given node.ssd. Now, how to write this node.ssd? XS element. So, root element will be your schema only. XS colon schema. XS colon schema. You have to close it. So, in your schema, you are writing XS colon element. In DTD, we write it as a doc type, exclamatory element we write. So, here we are writing prefix XX because we have defined the namespace that we have to use the XS, then element, then name. What is the name? Name of the tag. What is the name of the tag? Root element. That is a note. So, note is given. So, in XML schema, we have two types of elements. What are they? Complex type and sequence type. So, here we have for node we have 1, 2, 3, 4 child nodes. All the child nodes which are sequentially given. This is my first one, second one, third and fourth. Sequentially we have defined. So, complex type is empty. Inside the complex type we are defining what? XS sequence. XS sequence means it takes all the sequential child elements. So, what are the child elements? We are talking about elements only. Then obviously, you have to define XS colon element. What is the type of element? Name 2 from heading body. What is the type? String. XS element 2. 2 means what type of data you have to pass it for 2? This is the 2. And what is that? String. So, XS colon string. What is string? This is the data type that we are passing here. What is my type of data? String type of data. So, similarly for the second one, this is first one, this is second one. From type what? XS colon string. Third, heading. What is the type? String. Fourth. So, how many tags we have? 4. For 4 we have given the elements. But where you have to define? Inside XS colon sequence. Sequential child elements are defined in the type XS colon sequence. We don't have any other elements in our program. So, complex type we are not defining anything, empty. But where you are defining the sequence? Inside your complex. Inside your complex type. This is the complex type. And once your sequence and complex type, this XS colon element you have started, what? Node, root node, that is note. So, that you have to close it at the end. This is how you write a XML schema program. Every schema will start with XS colon schema, and element you have to define. This element will define the root tag, that is a node. Under that you have to define two things. One is a complex type and the other is a sequence type. Complex type, we don't have any complex type data, other tags here. So, we don't define a complex type. This is empty. That in sequence type, we are giving all the child tags that we are defined in the node tag, which are 2 from heading body. So, the following fragment XML NS, so we have already seen. So, XS I, what is this is indicator, XML schema indicator in instance namespace. So, which is available here. So, by default you can give that. And schema location attribute has two values. One is the location and the other is you have to pass what is your DTD file, I mean XSD file. So, that you have to pass namespace to use, and second value is the location. Namespace to use is my XMLNS XSI, XMLNS we are giving. So, from there you have to define this schema here. First, starting in the node tag, these are the attributes. These attributes are defined and explained here. Okay. So, in this session, I have just given a gist how to write a XML schema. But let me show you how your XSD is going to get saved. So, just take a notepad. So, how you are doing a XML program, in that way only we are taking a notepad. And let me take a new tab. So, here I am just going to take my XML code. So, here if you want you can write this XS : schema, because you are defining a schema here. So, for the same you have to close the tag. So, close your tag here. Save it. So, how you have to save your XML schema files means just .xsd. This is how you have to save it. See the type of file that you got here. See, document type, this is a node DTD, this is XSD, node.xsd. Okay. So, this you can give it as a path externally for your node program. My node program. So, where I have given my XSD here, node.xsd, and I am saving this. This I have to save with XML only. This is a general XML program, but I have given a extension for that. Extension means the external node.xsd I have passed. So, I am saving it with node.xml. Let me give this as node12 because I have saved in the last classes. So, okay. So, just execute this. So, you are getting this. So, it is just showing you that this node is having an external node.xsd where the structure of this program is defined in that node.xsd. That is the meaning. Okay. Why we are giving node.xsd? Just to give the structure. So, where these are defined? These are defined in my XSI. The location is here and the XSI is that schema instance is here in www.org, and this in W3 schools we have defined our XMLNS. Like that you have to define where they are, and that using that schema we have defined, that means we using that keyword XS we have defined our schema using XS complex type XS : schema. Everywhere we are using the prefix XS. That is how your namespace is defined. Hope you all understood how to write a XML schema using the elements of complex type and sequence type. So, in this session we have defined what is an XML schema and seen an example of how to save your XSD program and run your XML schema programs. Thank you all.